Hey, Anna Thinker. Hey, Winverse. You gonna come up to the stage, Winverse, or are you just chilling out down there?
I will come up. GM, guys, glad to be here.
Nice. Nice to have you. Hey, Rainus.
Buddy. Hello.
All right, let's see who we got here. Artisty, Tom, Jammer, Azu, Anna Thinker, Winverse. Oh, put Winverse twice. Rainus. All right. All right. Well, we're 4 minutes in. We may as well get started. GM, one and all, this is our weekly tactical meeting. Last week was our retrospective, so we're kind of getting back into the swing of things now, back into our cadence. And just so everyone remembers, this is the time that we use to see what's going on around our organization, eliminate blockers, and prioritize our work so that we know what to do for the next week. I already took an attendance up here. On our lag metrics, we are 81% ready to launch a POC, so just +2 from last time. Still blocked on our card issuing side. They tell us that we may be unblocked tomorrow, although we've heard that before. So we shall see. Luckily for us, we still continue to move forward relentlessly on the lead metric side. Do you happen to have those pre-launch emails, Rainus? We still have 21 of 30K for the POC raise in the multi-sig. But now that we have this OP grant, it's less of a big deal for us, I think, on this front. So we'll keep moving on down. +6 on the completion of the alpha app. We're now set 87% complete. Although what we have, we could launch. And we did get some user tests done. So what we're doing is mainly working more on improvements now than actual completion of the app. I'm going to keep this metric here until we get that kind of basic flow up to the kind of claim reward flow. So log in, get a card, load the card, do some spending, view your rewards, and claim your rewards. So I'm going to leave it here. And then after that, we're going to switch our product metrics more to things like usage and more around usage metrics. But for now, we'll keep this one. And percent completion of the launch campaign. Well, I don't think that Coffee Crusher's here right now, so I'm not going to be able to say that. Team-wide announcements, payroll coming, so get those bounty and compensation posts in BCard governance. Anyone can request compensation, and if you are a team lead, I ask that you look out for the people who are working with you, because without you, they probably won't get compensated as easily. So if you're a team lead and you have people who are doing some work with you, go ahead and get those posts up in BCard governance. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be just like a couple sentences describing what they did and what the potential compensation is, and I'll take it from there. New member intros. We don't have anyone new today, so we'll go straight into our milestone perspective. So on the funding side, we talked about it. We got some OP, and that's going to be really useful to us as next step up for us. Well, I mean, the current step up for us is launching this app. We need to launch the app, and we need to get some traction. And we know that reason that we're doing that is so that we can get some fundraising to do a full build of this app and work on it a little bit more full time. So we know that to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead, Hazard.
Just a question about the OP. What's for the taxman? Do we gonna like have a proportion about how many gonna be for taxman, how many gonna be for the other part, or any kind of like, for example, backup? I mean, how gonna be the distribution for that in terms of the the product and also the project?
Yeah.
Like how?
So it's something I wanted to discuss today, but I was thinking that we could do like for contributors all across Bankless Card who are working and who have been working, I guess. I was thinking we could maybe do something like a 10% distribution and retro funding. And then we talked about as well, not in a full group, but this is something I wanted to talk about today, about using some of that to pay for the software as a service that we need to make Taxman actually work without some of this trickery that Tom had done so that we could kind of get it to work for free. So now if we can actually pay to read the blockchain using Alchemy or something, then Taxman can work kind of forever. And so as long as we're able to pay for that software as a service, and if we can use that to get more Optimism Retro PGF next year, then that means that Taxman in general could be a kind of self-sustaining product in a way. And then as well, we'll probably have some left, and that I was hoping to use to basically help our fundraising and launch efforts. So we only have 21 of the 30,000 we talked about for our launch campaign. The Retro PGF grant should fill the rest of that. And then plus there are some other things that we might want to do to raise the kind of 2 million we'll need to do a full launch of this thing. So it's something that I wanted to discuss today in the team discussion section, but Hazel, you and I can also discuss it as we're catching up today, if you like.
Sorry, today I have this old call now coming, but I'm really interested about the way that we're gonna plan. Okay, these efforts, because also in that we can see how gonna be the distribution in terms of efforts in product. If we're gonna do updates in Taxman, it's gonna be updates more in Bankless Card as well. So we can check it out after. So that's why my main question for efforts and well, this open.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll have a discussion today about it, and then I think that the discussion should also go in BCard governance so that we can talk about it asynchronously as well. But we haven't gotten it yet, so that's another thing. I got our KYC in, so hopefully we're kind of like on the docket, but after the KYC works, it's basically on the 3rd of every month, you get streamed 1/3 of the tokens. So if we got 21,000, we'll get 7,000 on February 3rd. We hope, knock on wood. We'll see. We had some intent to do a KYB instead of a KYC.
Quick one.
Yeah, sure, go ahead, one first.
So how long do you intend to spread the payments? Is it I think I heard you say 3 months, just to confirm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's 3 months, yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So we want to make sure that this is associated with our Panama Foundation and not to any individual, because if it is associated with an individual, there's going to be a tax liability, and the whole purpose for us having a Panama Foundation is to avoid tax liabilities on our individual contributors. So we're working on the KYC there, and hopefully we will, on February 3rd, have some good news. We shall see. We're going to be holding off on the nouns and base prop houses. Actually, I guess we could do a base prop house, but we haven't launched yet, so not really sure. But basically, until we launch, we're going to be holding off on these grant requests. On the donation side, our first patron email was sent last week. We also added a bunch of potential investors who we talked to over the last year to that list as well, trying to keep them in the know as we kind of try to move forward. We also need to update the website to remove things like investor and add patron into that. And then as well, we need to figure out and document what donations actually get someone. So SportDAO did a good way of looking at this, and they really worked on their legal structure as well, so we may just take inspiration from them. On the app side, View Rewards is working. Tom got this working. And we're also looking at creating a smart contract for the claim rewards flow. So taking a look at that. Some updates for the user testing are in. This was based upon the feedback that we got from the 3 user testers who actually weren't even able to get a card, but they did still give us good feedback, and some of that is in. Hopefully more to come today. We are still waiting on Transcard for the Create card. They are having some problems on their side. It's been over a month. It's difficult. It's frustrating, but at least they are moving forward. Hopefully we get this done tomorrow. If not, we'll have to keep waiting. We had an idea based upon, we got some good things on the Transcard side. Actually, I should have put this in the team-wide announcements. In the past, Transcard has said you need at least $1 million of revenue spending going through these cards to be eligible for any kind of revenue share. Now that was difficult for us because it meant that we were in this weird position where we were kind of saying like, okay, for phase one, there's no revenue, and then phase two, there is revenue. Oh, it's because of our values of transparency, we don't want to say that you're actually supporting your community with every swipe because that's not true, especially in phase one. So it made everything kind of awkward, but we unlocked revenue with TransCard. And basically the way that it's going to work is it's kind of like a tiered revenue structure. Because this is a public call, I can't say exactly what that is, but essentially, you know, from 0 to let's say 1 million, there's a certain amount of revenue that they share with us. So let's say from 1 million to 2 million, that goes up. From 2 million to 5 million, that goes up even more. So the nice thing about this is that, and this counts for all of our cards across all communities. So the nice thing that that does is it gives us some ability to kind of create a little bit of competition and a little bit of visibility for the people that are using our cards. So let's say, for instance, we have Nouns DAO and Bankless DAO. We could have like a community leaderboard, which shows, hey, Nouns DAO contributed 70% of the spending to get us to revenue level 2. So now there's a boost on the revenue because of what Nouns DAO did. And now, so that's like one community way of doing things. Another way that we could say is like, oh, if we have all of the crypto ecosystem working together, we can get more and more revenue. So basically, there is a way to have some kind of friendly competition, and we can use this in both our messaging and in our app itself. And so that's what this idea of a community leaderboard came in. A leaderboard that kind of like looks at these higher revenue tiers that are kind of unlocked based on our monthly spending, and it gamifies it in a little way, which if you've ever used any Web2 product, you know that gamification is really, really effective. There's all these kinds of point systems and everything else out there. Because of the way that we set ourselves up, our points are actual real money. So that's pretty interesting. Anyways, all this to say that the deal that we are making with TransCard is going to allow us to simplify our communication and hopefully make our communication like a little bit more effective, a little bit more gamified. Anyways, I've just been talking about that for a bunch because I was kind of excited about it. But any questions on that?
Cool.
Hey, March.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
I'm cool. Just got my guest pass.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to move on from there. On the card issuing side, I did get some physical cards for the DAO cards, but not the Nouns card yet. There are some issues with them in terms of like the finish on the cards. They definitely aren't. I mean, so these are cards that they kind of print on demand, which means that they aren't as high quality as cards that you might get that are pre-printed. They're good enough for our launch, but I did want to take pictures and show the team because they're not as good as we might like. Anyways, that's something to note. We will get the Nouns card this week, hopefully. Again, we've heard that before, so we'll see. On the legal side, we're done on this. On the DAO partner side, we're done on this. On the launch campaign side, going to wait for Coffee Crusher to fill this in. Related assets, we do need to update the website to remove all references to investors. Hopefully, with the OP rewards, we can pay for the RPC that we need for Taxman. This RPC, remote procedure call, is essentially reading the blockchain kind of on demand as we wish, so we don't have to kind of cache all of the blockchain reads ahead of time. Our paragraph blog is up and running for our patrons as well. If you know anyone who might be interested in donating to Bankless Card, go ahead and send them there. Or if you're just interested in kind of like a month-to-month status update, that's a good place to look. Next up, we can open our Asana. I will go ahead and duplicate this. All right, and what is the ISO week? Already, what's the current week number? Already, week number 3. Here we go. Roll salaries, week 3. All right. What is private and what is public? Haven't taken care of this quite yet. We will put this in here. Inbox on the champion side. Yes, I've spent 5 hours for championing and 5 hours for ops work stream. Honestly, I'm really spending more time here. This is what I'll put here. Anyways, I'm thinking of redoing this. We need to kind of relook at this for the new season, because I think that when we do payroll, we're going to find out that we're a bit over on some of these. Communication. Reyes, did you spend at least 5 hours on Bankless Card in the last week? You're muted, Reyes.
Oh, yeah, I also was speaking about the emails before and I was muted. So we have 1,362 emails. I wrote that in.
Nice.
Uh,
And from the last time we talked, I think that is, well, let's take a look here. We had 1,358, so it is +4.
yeah. Well, we have a steady growth. That is good. Not a desirable growth, because our desirable is 50 per week, plus 50. But anyways, the question was regarding the POC launch campaign and the marketing activities, right? Or,
No, it was just, did you spend 5 hours on Bankless Card?
yeah. Yeah, I did.
All right. And what about you, and a thinker?
Yes, I have.
All right, Tom?
Yes, indeed.
All right, and I'll ask Coffee Crusher about this. Looking down at what we have here, Alpha App, we already talked about this. Essentially, on the Alpha App side, we are working on the claim rewards flow and trying to get Create Card out, but we're blocked on that. We're also going to be, if we continue to stay blocked, we're going to be working on the community leaderboards. On the user testing Alpha App, there are a bunch of updates that I'm still working on, so that is coming. Drost, I know you're one of our user testers. When we get the Create Card working, I'm hoping that all of the updates based upon yours and Sam's and Coffee Crusher's feedback are going to be in there, so working hard on that. Post-launch campaign, funny generic videos. How's this looking, Reynes?
Well, we are writing scripts for not about the funny generic videos, but yeah, it hasn't gone further these specifically because we haven't filmed anything. But I hope Andy creates something in the closer time.
All right, so I'm creating some success criteria for this task, so we're all on the same page about what it means. So you're going to write some scripts.
We could rename this post-launch campaign to just content, because it's not going to be only funny generic video. We added, if you remember from the last communications call, we added some other categories as well. Yeah, video content. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
how many are you trying to ship?
We haven't set a goal yet. We're just we have categories, and for each category, we are looking for. Wait, I'll open the document. Give me a
Yeah, maybe you
second.
can link the document in this task as well.
Yes, I can do that. No problem. So we have. We have post-launch. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 categories, and I'm thinking 2 to 3 each category videos. So that's 4 times. I mean, like 10 to 12, around 10 to 12 videos once.
All right. Okay, great. I'll leave that here. POC launch campaign is ready. Let's ask Coffee Crusher. All right. Okay. Nouns prop house. I guess, and I think this is kind of blocked now.
Yeah, that's on hold until after we've launched the nouns cards.
Okay. Do you want to link your draft proposal here?
Yep, I'll do that now.
All right. create a donor email list. This is actually complete. So that's good. And we will put this into done. And I'm going to put a next up. I'll put a what is it? Communication email. Send out monthly, or actually, I wonder if I can do this. Anyways, I'll do this. Send out February patron update. Success criteria. Send out an update to our patrons about what BCard has done in last month. All right, maybe we can turn this into a recurring task. All right. In terms of the friends and families round, I still need to update our financials with all of the new costs, not just the contactless card costs. Basically, I need to update the cash flow. I think that's more what this is than anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this an actual update the cash flow for our POC. POC cash flow is out of date. Update it. Success criteria. The POC cash flow doc is up to date and reviewed and available for patrons to view if they want. All right. Okay. So in terms of the friends and family zone, I mean, this is something I guess like I was hoping that we could potentially use the OP to fill in what we needed here, and we didn't need to do as much of this kind of fundraising, so we could get into our next fundraising round and concentrate on launch. What do you think about that? Can we close this off for now?
I think we can mark that as accomplished.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Any dissent here?
I was just going to say that we could probably keep our ears open, and if there are friends and family that approach us with then we can be aware of it. But other than that, probably no need to continue seeking.
Yeah, good call, Tom.
Okay. We want, we can still add patrons. All right. So like in general, I guess like I want to move us towards a more, let's call it continual patron flow. So instead of having us like going out for patrons, we just have like for instance, you know, the nouns auctions. If you want to be a part of any kind of DAO that uses that you have to buy an NFT, there are ways to do that. You can use Juicebox, you can use Nouns Builder. That's what they do for Purple DAO, which is like the DAO, which is the purpose is to proliferate Farcaster. If you want to be a member of Purple DAO, you just buy an NFT. I kind of wonder if we should do something similar for Bankless Card. So if you want to be a patron, go ahead and buy this NFT. You know, I'd rather move to something more like that, but we'll see. I mean, we can talk about it a little bit later.
Sounds like a permissionless patron platform.
Yeah, exactly.
Since we're on the subject of patrons, and since you have in your list somebody, I can't read it because I'm on my phone and I don't have my glasses on. So, but I was just wondering, I did donate, contribute, whatever you want to call it, via Optimism, and I'm just wondering, I'm not on that list, and I don't see anything in my wallet either in hidden or public on OpenSea, so I just wanted to note that. May have gone by the wayside.
I'm sorry, and you did DM me, and as I said, I would make sure to get this done. We have in order to mint on Manifold, it currently requires multi-signers to go on and sign a bunch of times. I added myself as an admin, so I would be able to administer those tokens without having to require the multi-sig. But it didn't work. So I've been back and forthing with the Manifold forum, and somebody from support has been in touch with me. They asked me for my address so they could look into it. and then I would be able to do that. If that doesn't happen within today, then I'm going to request Lynx and Sam to get on so we can mint your token and get that out specifically. So again, sorry
Okay.
about that.
Well, it's too bad it's been such a pain. I mean, if you'd rather have me run it a different way, we could, you know.
No.
Just, yeah, go ahead, Dennis. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, Drost, but yeah, nothing to do with you at all. I had
No worries. I just know everybody's busy, and I didn't know if it slipped through the cracks as I know things can. I know they do on my list. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks. I appreciate it.
We got you, bro.
All right.
And then we can see another people don't really want ship.
All right, and if we move more to a permissionless kind of flow, this won't be as big an issue, we hope, in the future. So still learning as we go. Looking down, mint donor NFT for Adam L. I may as well just add this here as well for Drost.
Yeah, and I'll mark the Adam L one is done because that is done.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So I'll send this one to you, and this one I'll put in the done section as well. Done. And it's complete. Woohoo! And so we have here Drost, so we won't forget it. Contributor NFTs, these are done too, right?
Yes, they are. Anybody who was on that the BCard contributor list, or I think it's BCard token holders. Anyone who was on that list has had a token airdrop to them. So if you have been a contributor and your wallet has either received bank from our project or also has been noted as receiving BCard, you can go into OpenSea, check the hidden NFTs tab, and you should find it there. Barring that, you should be able to find it on optimistic.etherscan.io using your wallet address, and it should be in the ER720 tokens. ER720, ER7. It'll be in the token.
I put it there. Personally, I like to use this better, rainbow.me/your profile. I don't know. I just think it puts it in a nicer way. So that's all. Those are all my NFTs. Anyways, going down the list. So we're getting pretty good on these on-chain goodies, huh? Very close to closing that one as well. Not bad at all. External documentation website. This I'm starting to fill in. So I created a couple of blank articles that I'm meaning to fill in this week. Basically, based on the user testing, it was shown that we need some more information, and we don't want to throw all of that in the app. So better for us to beef up our help center. And so that's kind of what we're working on now. On that side, update the cash flow for the POC. I already mentioned this one. Oh, I have this in two places. Okay, which one's better? Okay, the other one's better. So I will get rid of this one, and we'll keep this one. Update the cash flow for the POC, and making bank appearance. This is done. I guess we still need to communicate it, promote it, but I know that it's coming out pretty soon, Drost, right?
Whenever you tell me to hit the button.
Okay. It's going to be Coffee Crusher who tells you to hit the button, but did she mention, because she's going to promote it as soon as she gets it up, so I don't want to tell you when to do it, right? But
okay, well, I'll get in touch with her. I did see in the, where is it here? The communication channel that Crypto Sapiens plans on releasing their episode on the 26th. That's what Eureka John just posted there. So I don't want them to stomp on each other. So since this one's been ready for a month and then I did that other little intro, I'd like to get it out before they do theirs on the 26th.
I think the sooner the better, actually.
Okay. Well, and then I'll have it ready for Friday's community call and say that's the newest episode of Making Bank, and it's featuring Bankless Card shipping. So. But I'll touch base with Coffee Crusher before I hit the button, and just to make sure we're cool on it. And so we're still not there though with Transcard being able to actually process it.
Nope, unfortunately, no.
Yeah, I mean I don't know that it's a big deal with the show because I mean to be honest, it's not that big of a listenership. You know, our first day of downloads are usually around 40 or 50, and then after about a week, it's maybe 100. So. And if we don't promote it, so I don't think it's a big deal, but I would like to ship it if it's okay.
All right. Yeah, I definitely want to ship it. I mean, I think we may as well, we put work into it. We may as well use it. I put this in here as well, and I'll just use the same thing. Dunk. And so then we have some dates associated with them, and hopefully we can promote these. So, Reyes, this is something to note as well on the communication side, that we'll have some content to promote. Drost as well made some of these, what do you call them?
They're audiograms.
Audiograms.
I only pull, so Copy Crusher approved the snippets I pulled, and all they are the transcript audio right now, and so I need to turn those into audiograms with the graphics and stuff like I do, like I've done with the show in the past. So I just need to do that part. So I can work on that today and tomorrow.
Amazing.
Yeah, and Reyes will spread that across our socials as much as possible and cross-post to any of the Making Bank socials. Sorry, cross promo with the Making Bank socials as well.
Yeah, and then if you want me to use the BCard logo or whatever, I can. Usually I just use the avatars of the people on the call, or on the show. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I can drop that logo for you as well. There's a bunch of them
you guys will see a preview before I ship the final, so I can share that with you guys and Reyes too, since you're an AV master. So.
Sweet.
And it's all in layers, so I can fix it pretty easily. Anyway, so yeah, we'll plan on doing that. I'll get a message off to Coffee Crusher and just say that we're planning on shipping it before this Friday's community call, and that I'm going to get those audiograms started on the graphic side of it.
Amazing. All right, so this is where we're at right now. Any other work that people are working on this week that's not here? I'm going to put this into, so as well, for all of our podcast appearances, we're going to be giving out BCard as well, just so you know, Drost. BCard is a token that lives on a spreadsheet right now, but eventually we're going to have an actual real token. So right now it's just points, but we will, Coffee Crusher asked about getting you some BCard, and so we'll do that as part of this payroll as well.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I apologize for
you, buddy.
On my mobile. I don't know how to go and stream remote.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Anything anyone else is working on this week that's not here? All right. Let's get back into the meeting minutes here. So, what did we ship last week? Well, I shipped some UX updates for the onboarding flow. Tom created a first card of the smart contracts for claim rewards. Tom also created the view rewards, and I should mention this is for like the last 2 weeks, because we had a retrospective last week where we didn't really talk about what we shipped. Transcard shipped to me some physical cards. I made the first patron email and reached out to a bunch of potential investors to get them on there. I held a retrospective for the team. Anna Thinker and I met with a worldwide card issuing partner, Fiat24 and David Vaz. Anna Thinker, I'm actually meeting David this Friday. I'm not sure if it's at a good time zone for you, but I'll speak with you about it at the ops meet later today. Okay. Yep. I reported on BCard at the season 10 kickoff. Drost created a release cut of Making Bank episode, and a Thinker and links. Recorded Crypto Sapiens. Anything else anyone shipped that we want to talk about? Don't be shy. Oh, NF has airdropped some contributor NFTs, I assume.
Yeah, contributor and patron NFTs.
Nice. Oh yeah, I'll also put links. Went through the KYC flow for OP claim. All right. This is something that we need to start talking about. All right, so how are we doing? Shall we get into our discussion items? I think the big one that I want to talk about is exactly what Hazu mentioned, is what are we going to do with our OP claim tokens? I think that like OP has this idea that it's like kind of retro PGF, which means that it is for work, it is for impact that we have done. So I think we got more than I thought we would, which is great. The really great thing about it is that it's going to allow us, if we, I mean, it's the community who decides what we're going to do with it, right? We're going to have to make governance posts to use it. Yeah, excuse me. But one of the big problems with Taxman, sorry, 1 second. Just need to get a glass of water. All right, sorry about that. All right, so one of the big problems with Taxman is that it doesn't actually allow you to use it past tax year 2022. And it only shows you transactions from January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. Why? Because we didn't want to pay for this really expensive software as a service, which allows us to read the blockchain dynamically. So I think one of the big things that we should do is improve Taxman so it's just usable all the time. So I'll write that down. But in general, I mean, what are your feelings? Let's solicit some feelings from the audience on what we should be using these for.
Well, I like your idea of doing a 10% allocation to contributors. I do feel like that should be weighted towards the people who did the majority of the work. So there were people, obviously, Tom and yourself and Hasu put in a ton of work into Taxman. So I think it would be fair if you guys got a larger distribution of that. Then again, this does also sort of pertain to BCard as a whole. So we also need to consider that in terms of contributions. So it's important not to get too complicated, but also how do we remain fair? Help fill out the friends and family round, get us up to 30K. We're starting to receive invoices from Transcard, so we want to be able to make sure that we can cover those for the foreseeable future. And then you mentioned furthering our efforts with fundraising. And one of those things is, one way to do that is to go out to real world events. So you and I were talking yesterday about going to ETH Denver, whether or not we think it's important, whether or not we feel like the optimism tokens should fund any of that. Personally, I think that would be a great use of the OP funds, is to fund some of the efforts of people getting out to ETH Denver. Maybe if that was creating like a Bankless Card house, which would just be, a small accommodation for any of the team members to go out there. And then maybe like travel for yourself or something like that. I don't know. Some thoughts.
Yeah, I do think that and we did have a conversation about this. One of the big things with fundraising is it's really about who you know. A big piece of it is about who you know. Like if we had two equivalent projects, and there's nothing like BCard really out there right now. But if we had two equivalent projects, if you happen to be building in San Francisco or New York and you go to these networking events, you're just way more likely to get funded than if you are in the UK or if you're in Toronto or something like that. That's just the way that venture funding works. So I do think that is something that we need to know. One of the things when I was doing the investor email list is all of these investors that I'm kind of re-engaging, they're all asking are you going to ETH Denver? Maybe we can have a sit down, right? And just the idea of having a sit down with someone, they look into your eyes, you have a handshake with them, that relationship to them means a lot more than anything you can put into a pitch deck. So I do think that it's important to note that. Not that we necessarily 100% want to go with VC, but it is one of our options.
I would like to add that East Denver probably is the exact place where our partners and customers are. So if we talk about from the communications perspective, we have to be where our customers and partners are. Denver, because we're launching in the US, is exactly the place.
Yeah, absolutely true.
And there is still actually some hope in terms of partnering with Opolis for a card. We got a response back from Rachel yesterday. I'm going to reply to her today and say, yeah, we can set something up. She wants to set up a follow-up meet for next week where we can discuss that. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to be able to actually launch an Opolis card before ETH Denver. But even if we were able to launch it at ETH Denver, that would create some hype. So there is the possibility of that as well.
Yeah, and you know what else? The nice thing about all these things being permissionless as well is that we could run a campaign where you use a Bankless card or you use a Nouns card, and we just like, for anyone who uses it at ETH Denver or anyone who uses it during the time of ETH Denver, we could just buy some Spork tokens and like with the proceeds and send it their way as well. Right? I mean, that's something we could do. In general, I would love to do an execution with ETH Denver, not with ETH Denver, with Spork DAO, but I don't know if that's going to be possible for us.
Yeah, as Coffee Crusher said, she spoke with her contact who has worked closely with ETH Denver in the past. Isn't actually working with them this year, but he thinks that anything that was an actual formal relationship with Spork DAO would require some form of sponsorship from our end. So I don't know if we'll be able to actually get them to endorse us without paying them some money.
Yeah, I mean, we could sponsor them in terms of like we're getting revenue for you. I guess like the idea is like, okay, you take a risk on conversion, and anyways, it's something we can talk about later. We're talking about the OP tokens right now. Yeah, I guess one of the points that I was worried about is that in some places people look at RetroPGF, and this has happened around the DAO. I'm not saying it's happened in Bankless Card or anything like that, where they say like, oh, it's retrofunding. It means that you owe me this money even though I'm no longer part of the DAO. And some people feel that way, some people don't. I personally think that like you are getting the money because of the work that was done or the impact that was made. But the reason that you're getting the money is so that you can have even more impact later. And it's why I don't want like 100% to go to retro funding. I think that would be not a good use of the money. I mean, does that make sense to people here? Or I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for sure. It makes total sense. Sending everything out for as a retro public funding doesn't really sit well with me as well. I think some of the ideas that NF has already shared on like going for events, the taxman pay and all of that does make sense. And I'm in complete support of the 10%. 10% does sound right. And setting it in such a way that folks who really seriously contributed to that get a fatter portion of the airdrop does make sense. So yeah.
I guess like we should talk about. Sorry, Tom, you're unmuted. Do you have something to say about this? Oh, Tom, I can't hear you. I don't know if you're speaking or not, but I'm wondering if you're having some headphone issues. Yeah, I can't hear you. I guess like one thing I want to say to that idea that the people who built Taxman should get more. I'm not against that idea, but like here's a counterpoint. There's a lot of things that people are doing around the organization that aren't going to be available for retro PGF, like that aren't going to be available for retro funding. Do we want to incentivize people to only work on the things that are going to be available for that are going to be eligible for retro PGF? I don't know. I'm wondering about that. Like if I have to work on Taxman or our new product, and that new product may or may not work for retro funding, do I really want to choose Taxman? I'm not sure, right? Because Taxman isn't our goal. It is just a tool that we are using. And so, a bunch of people got together and worked on this tool. And it's not that it's true that the tool got us money, but it's also that this tool is for everyone. They're building it on behalf of the Bankless Card team and not just for the retro PGF funding, right? And so, I really want to think about that because I don't want to incentivize people to always go for that retro PGF. I really want to incentivize people to seek the purpose. Another thing that is like a well-known phenomenon in money kinds of things is when you start incentivizing people for money for things, oftentimes it can take away the purpose behind it, and that can never be recovered. And I'm saying it badly, but there's an experiment that people did where basically they were saying oh, okay, I mean, I don't even remember the experiment, but essentially as soon as you start paying people money for something, they stop looking at it as a purpose-based thing and they look at it as a money-based thing, and it is almost impossible to go back to looking at it as a purpose-based thing after that. So we really need to be careful on how we distribute this, in my opinion. Tom, are we able to hear you now?
I think so. I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm actually glad the mic didn't work because you said much more eloquently, I think, what I was thinking to say anyway, in regards to Taxman being a tool that we had come up with to sort of leverage and promote Bankless Card. And at the end of the day, I think that anything that we received for building Taxman should be used towards best purpose of Bankless Card project success. So I know that means that could mean a lot of different things in terms of paying out contributors and paying for ongoing resources and whatnot. And I like all the ideas that we've come up with so far as well. I just think that certainly the long-term success of Bankless Card, the project, should be what our investment of those tokens should be for principally. I think if we are going to consider improvements to Taxman and to have it be a continuing, ongoing part of Bankless Card, which I do kind of like the idea of, and I think that we should do. I'd love the idea of setting aside some development time and allocation resources to integration of Taxman into our proof of concept app, such that people using our app could use Taxman within it. And to me, that would make it all more holistic in terms of what we're using to build out for the future.
Yeah, really good point there. I do think that if we wanted to do that, we would need to adjust some of the design for proof of concept. I think one of the things that Hazu was getting at when she was here is that if we need a bunch of updates on design, if we need updates on Taxman, do we want to pay a little bit for those updates? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard for me to say, right? Because then as soon as we start paying people for those updates differently than we pay for people who are working on the proof of concept or other kinds of things, it starts to get a little bit more murky. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but it's something we'll have to consider for sure.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying in terms of dollars for payment, and I don't know where I exactly fall out on that for long term, but I like the idea of long term it becoming one project and not two projects, Taxman and Bankless Card. I'd love for it to be one project together. So.
Yeah, no, that's a good point as well. I need to find an article on that psychology of money thing. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns on this retro PGF allocation?
From the comms department, I would say that I would definitely appreciate this money being spent to further increase our reach towards a greater success of the proof of concept launch, so that we get investment and we get more money, and then we can pay everybody a lot of money and everybody make very much money if we're talking about money. That's my opinion. Because we have to have this proof of launch be successful, and if the app works, it's only a marketing and reach question. And so if we have something to spend to increase our reach in order to get more people signed up. It doesn't have to be specifically the East Denver, but like we can definitely find ways to increase our reach with extra funds, and then we can have a bigger success for our PLC when we can get an investment, and then everything is rolling from then on after. Because also the POC, it's a revenue generating. So any money that goes into that POC launch is an investment that we will get a return on after as well. So if we're thinking long term, we should focus on having the proof of concept be as successful as possible. And where I can apply my knowledge is from the comms department, so that's why it's a marketing comment. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like one of the things we could pay for is like, paid advertising or things like buying hardware wallets to do giveaways and that kind of thing.
Yep.
For their effort, for their future effort. Careful here, as there is some psychology of money thing here. Let's find articles. Yeah, so some ways that people put it, you need to find, before you get mercenaries, you need to find, what is it? Darn it. It's like mercenaries, not monasteries. Missionaries, mercenaries and missionaries. I.e., missionaries before mercenaries. Have you guys heard of this? Have you guys heard of this before?
No. But
sorry, go ahead.
On paying contributors for their future effort, I just ran into a problem like this in my own creative agency business where we do video. We have the project not finished, but we paid for the future effort, and now that effort has disappeared because they got the money already. So that's something from real life that's happening to me just right now.
Yeah, I think like the idea is like, oh, okay, well, we need to update Taxman, so we need a designer and we need developers go for X amount an hour and designers go for X amount an hour. So if we want to update Taxman, then the people who are working on Taxman should get this much an hour. I really want, at this early stage, in an ideal place, we would be able to do that no problem. At this early stage, where we don't have a lot of cash, that can quickly drain what we have and create kind of resentment between the teams, because we are essentially having to choose then where we put our very, very limited funds. And the idea of missionaries before mercenaries, there is this idea like, okay, you see it a lot in crypto projects, like the way to get people to use your product is to pay them essentially through an airdrop or something like that. And then people take that airdrop and they mass sell it, and they take that money away, and that money is essentially being taken away from the people who are actually purpose driven, right? Like the people who really care, and the people who are holding bank, and the people who are I guess like really purpose aligned and aren't selling the token. There are a bunch of mercenaries who come in, they do airdrop quests, they take what they want and they go. That's fine. It's a risk that a lot of projects take, and it's not a bad thing. But if you are left just when you have mercenaries, they only take action when they get paid. And so when you don't have money, they're going to stop taking action. So this is why you always need to have missionaries before mercenaries, because no matter what happens, your missionaries are going to be around because they believe in the purpose. And so you need to really, I guess, almost prioritize your missionaries over your mercenaries, because your missionaries are your long term, and your mercenaries, you use them for the short term. So I don't know if I'm being clear, but it is a difficult problem sometimes. We need to just be aware of it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay people. I'm saying that we need to be aware of what behavior might happen as a result. Sorry, NF Thinker, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I like what you're saying there, and I wanted to bring up this term that's used in investing quite a bit called exit liquidity. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. Essentially, when somebody invests in an early stage project, their investment goes up and they wait for their exit liquidity on something like an IPO. So when that company goes public, there's a stock that's listed on the open market, and they receive a bunch of those shares and they can sell those shares, and that's their exit liquidity. They get to exit their investment for hopefully a profit. In your scenario, when you look for missionaries instead of mercenaries, there's less focus on exit liquidity because the value isn't in the profit that they're making by selling tokens. The value exists within the ecosystem, right? So they're contributing for the purpose, for the mission. I see what you mean when you say, if you're incentivizing them with money or with tangible things that they can take with them and leave the ecosystem, that then dilutes the actual purpose of the mission. So that's a great way to see that. And then I also wanted to add that in terms of the Taxman funding, I personally don't think that we need to put a lot into redesigning the app or making big changes to it. It's functional, it works. If there's something that doesn't work well, we can address that at the time. But the more important thing is to be able to get that data so we can offer people the calls on their data and give them the token value. That's the most important thing. If we can spend the money on that and do nothing else to Taxman, that's perfectly fine, because when we do have more money, we put this, as much as we can, this optimism funding into the design of our POC, into the design of our app, into making everything work better and look better in terms of the payment side. We'll generate funds, and then we can continue to develop the tools that we need within the ecosystem, like Taxman and the other tools that we're going to integrate as well.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I see that we're on the end here, but I definitely want to plus one that. I think ultimately what we really want is a suite of tools to make it easier for people to get into crypto and stay in crypto. The reason we built Taxman was because a bunch of people came into Bankless DAO, earned bank, and had this unfunded tax liability that they had no idea about. And a bunch of people just left the ecosystem because of that, right? And so for Taxman, I think just having an easy way for DAO contributors to be able to do their taxes for free, that's a really good thing. And it's lifting up the whole ecosystem when we do that. So absolutely agree with you, NF Thinker, that if we put this into our proof of concept and we're able to get recurring revenue, well, then that's money that we can use to spend on more things like Taxman. Anyways, we are at the end of our time, so I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. As we see success begets success, the more that we continue to work, the more that we put into this, we are starting to see the fruits of that labor. We have a POC that's getting close to getting out. We just got recognized for having this this execution on Taxman that we did. All of these things is a snowball effect. The more we put into it right now, it is going to be the future us, the future Bankless Card team that reaps the rewards. So just think about that as you're doing your work for Bankless Card. All of the work that you're putting in now, it is going into for future you and for future the team, and ultimately it is going to further the future ecosystem. That's what we're doing here, and I just want to thank everyone for being part of that ride. Really appreciate you all. Thank you one and all, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, everybody.
Links. Thank you.
Yeah. Great success.